difficult one.
Hey, Maya. Today, we're going to talk about Growth Engine's Managed Account Executive Team's solution so that buyers in the Cloud Task Marketplace that are checking out your listing can determine whether they want to invite Growth Engine to interview for their service request or not. We've just got 3 questions. Let's get started. First question. Who is the best fit for this service offer? Who out there, like, what would you tell someone if they fit this profile? This might be a good fit for them.
Sure. So there's two ideal buyers, I would say, or I guess group of people that can benefit from this offering. One is definitely an early stage startup where the founder is leading the sales teams. They might have 1 or 2 AEs, way too early to get a VP sales, but he still needs someone to build the processes of the sales team, to build the strategy, to build the demo deck, to build the discovery process, the objection handling, to nurture his account executives. And he's not coming from the background or knowledge in order to do that. So Growth Engine in that case will come in as a fractional VP sales. That would mean that our process there would include building the sales processes as well as managing them. And the other type of group that can benefit from this is definitely more mature companies that operate in certain market but do want to have boots on the ground in other markets, whether they have customers or they want to have customers. And then Growth Engine can operate that team for them in the regions in which we exist. So we exist out of the US, Australia, UK, and Germany. Which covers also the entire DACH region. And that's why we can operate that outsourced account executives models.
Okay, let's go on to question number 2. What are the components of this service offer? And as you know, when we talk about the components, what are the processes, platforms, and people involved in how you guys deliver this process for your clients? Or I'm sorry, this managed account executive teams for your clients?
Sure, that's a very good question. So I'll start off with the process. The process here actually has quite an extended onboarding process because part of what we will do in the managed account executive product is we will identify what's missing in terms of sales collateral, sales strategy, sales processes, and we will build that together. So it's not a structured onboarding, it's more of a per case onboarding. So it could be that some companies don't have a discovery process, or they don't have the demo deck, or they don't have the objection handling, or scorecards, or anything else, battle cards with the competitors. So we'll build all of that to fuel the sales teams. And then from there, what we will do is we will hire or allocate the right account executives from within the Growth Engine team to manage the sale for that account. If the company is a little bit more mature, the process there would be to, create those materials specific to the market in which they want to target. So it could be that they operate amazingly well in the US, but the Australian market might require some different collateral, or especially if they want to go into a non-English speaking market like the DACH region, which we serve, then we will need to rework those sales collaterals and processes to the relevant market, and then assign the right account executive depending on the team size that they select. As part of the people involved in the process, so it's quite, all the services by Growth Engine are very tightly managed. So that means that the account executive team doesn't operate by themselves. There is a VP sales that is overseeing the team from the region in which the team is operating, and that's part of Growth Engine. So that that VP sales is somehow acting as a fractional VP sales for that team. So they will nurture the team members. They will jump in on the more harder close calls with them. They will support them in the strategy, review the metric. We'll see what works and what doesn't work, and we really drive the team into performance, if that makes sense. In terms of platforms, we typically do prefer to work on the client CRM when it comes to outsourced sales, but we can power through our own platforms. We strongly recommend recording, of course, the sales interactions, the demos in tools like Zoom, Google Meet, Gong. It's very much a selection, but we do encourage our customers to have it registered on their platform so they have a solid record of it.
Okay. And I think you already kind of talked about the people that were involved in managing this on the back end. So I have a clarifying question about some pieces of the process. As far as the prospect list, where does that come from? Does the client need to have an SDR team maybe that hands off some leads to these AEs in order for this to work? Or, otherwise need to provide it? Because I'm assuming that the AEs are starting at the discovery call stage.
Sure, that's actually a great question. They can do both. As an outbound agency as well, we have the bandwidth to support our team in terms of helping them manage and book their own appointments, which is, by the way, an amazing skill to have in 2023 for all AEs out there. But we do have what we call more of an inside sales reps, where they generate their own opportunities and then they close them as well. And we do have AEs that are simply getting leads from the company. I mean, some companies just have tons of inbound traffic in geos where they don't operate, so it really makes sense for them. And some companies really need that team to actually go after the opportunities. So either we allocate to that also an SDR team, or either those AEs also generate their own meetings, which is actually becoming quite a popular product these days, where AEs are also generating their own initial traction, and then further down the track, the company might also add an SDR team to that.
All right. So it sounds like I'm hearing there's some flexibility here depending on what the need of the client is. So does that also mean that the price stays exactly the same for the service, or whatever you might quote them is like it doesn't change the pricing schema if they need the AE to do the lead generation or create their own meetings as well?
No, it doesn't change the pricing schema, because we as a company can support that.
Okay. And how do you all deliver performance reports? Do you all do standing meetings on a weekly basis, or just deliver reports on a CSV? Do you do it? What are the different ways that the buyer may, or that your clients know how things are going or keep track of how things are going?
Sure, that's a great question. So actually, we have daily standing meetings every day of the week. The client is welcome to join, but our VP sales will run them. And basically, in that meeting, we really aim to identify what are the goals for the day, what are some of the blockers, and really drive the team into performance. In terms of reports, we will generate a weekly report that the client can review. And we usually have a weekly review session where we will go through some of the results, what's in progress, and any optimizations or insights that we've generated as well.
Got it. All right, great. And then for the last question, what can a client expect in the first 120 days of buying this service, managed account executive teams, from Growth Engine?
Sure, that's a great question. So usually in the first 120 days, they can see a lot of traction in terms of deals moving through the different deal stages, from discovery into opportunity, and some initial ones leaning towards the closure. I'm saying some initial ones because it depends. If they're primarily selling into SMBs, it could be they would have quite a few closes by month 3. Actually, they would have a couple of closes by month 3. But if they're selling strictly into mid-market and enterprise, it could be that on month 3 they will have a couple of very high rated price proposals out there that are pending POC, and they can expect those to close in the near future. But there typically won't be closes with enterprises in the 3 months term. In the 6 months term, they usually will see more closes if they are targeting the mid-market enterprise. If they're targeting the SMBs, they should see the first deal starting to close towards end of month 2, and then month 3. So.
Okay, so clarifying, how when you all do onboarding for this one, what kind of time frame is happening for the onboarding? And you already mentioned before a little bit about fill in the blanks, right? Identifying what pieces of the sales stack, I'll call it sales stack, like the marketing materials, collateral, different pieces of that nature, the client is missing, and create those. So I'm wondering, how long on average does onboarding normally take for this particular offer?
Sure. So it does depend a little bit on the client. This is a little bit more flexible, but about a month is what we typically say as the onboarding. And usually if they're targeting mid-market or enterprise, a contract will typically be a minimum of 6 months. If they're targeting SMBs, it will typically be 3 months.
That's the contract term. Like, you'll normally be asking for 6 months to actually deliver on everything so that we can really see if it works.
If they're targeting strictly enterprise, then yes.
Yeah, makes sense too, because those are longer sales cycles, right? So it sounds like while someone would buy the account executive service from Growth Engine in order to have a team that can close deals for them, the ideal success metric would be proposals generated, just because that's the one indicator that is not affected so much by the length of the sales cycle.
Correct, correct. Which is something that clients usually start to see from about months two, even if they are going into the mid-market enterprise. But if they want to see the total money in the bank, call it this way, then that would take 6 months for the mid-market enterprise. For the SMB, that can happen within the 3 months term usually.
All right. Well, hey, Maya, thank you so much for shining some more light on how the managed account executive team service line from Growth Engine works. I think this will definitely help buyers that are taking a look at this option in the marketplace, get a better feel for whether they want to talk further with Growth Engine about possibly becoming a client for this service offer. And so thank you very much. And we will catch you next time.
Thank you, Tony.
Ciao.